Hi, it's Greg Arbutine here of the Silver Museum. Today we're going to talk about sterling silver souvenir spoons. Back in around the 1880s through about the 1920s, collecting sterling silver souvenir spoons was a really huge thing. Tourist travel was a lot more difficult back in those days, and mostly only the rich could afford to do so. When these wealthier families went on vacations, they would often like to have a souvenir as a keepsake of their travels. This demand gave birth to an entire industry of spoon making by major manufacturers. It would be comparable to today's day and age with tourists going to shops buying refrigerator magnets. That's how popular these sterling spoons used to be. In my video today, I'm going to cover about 20 different popular categories of antique sterling silver souvenir spoons. Please make sure to watch to the very end because we are going to be saving some of our best Holy Grail type spoons for the video's conclusion. This first category we're looking at is one of my very favorites. It's mining and miners. Most of these spoons were made for retail in places that did actually have active gold or silver mines like California, Colorado, Alaska, and Canada. The majority of these spoons feature three-dimensional figural miners who either just struck it rich or were panning for gold. If you look carefully, you'll notice that some of these spoons actually have real, genuine 24-karat gold nuggets attached to the actual spoon. This spoon depicts Sutter's Mill, which was the first site of discovery of gold in California in 1848. It is very well made, and look at the detail work. Just absolutely gorgeous. Here's another historical spoon that depicts the Seven Falls of Cheyenne, Colorado, which was also another site for gold mining. The values of these spoons vary between $100 to $400. It just depends on how much intricate work is done on them and if they do have a gold nugget attached. Another popular category for collecting antique silver souvenir spoons is historical figures and presidents. In this grouping of 4 spoons, we have William Penn, Abraham Lincoln, Benjamin Franklin, and last but not least, George Washington. These spoons value between $100 to $250 a piece, Benjamin Franklin being the most expensive. Take a look at this stunning embossed depiction of Mount Vernon that is shown on this gorgeous George Washington spoon. This President Lincoln spoon has a stunning depiction of the Lincoln home located in Springfield, Illinois. This next spoon coming up of Benjamin Franklin is one of my very favorites. When I saw him on eBay, I knew I just had to have him. The craftsmanship and design of this bowl is definitely one of the best ones I've ever seen. In this scene, we see Benjamin Franklin as the ambassador of the United States rubbing elbows with French aristocrats and royalty in order to curry favor for the United States. Native American silver souvenir spoons is another one of my favorite categories. Most of these spoons feature richly detailed full figural depictions of Native American chiefs and other subjects of Native American culture. Look at the beautiful detail work in this buffalo souvenir spoon. It's absolutely amazing. A lot of these spoons are also double-sided with a depiction on the front and also on the back. Value-wise, Native American silver souvenir spoons run anywhere between $75 all the way up to $700. The price is determined on how fully decorated they are, if they're double-sided, or if they include enameling. Here's quite a rare spoon that has a chief on the front and then a mother and baby on the back. This spoon has a bison in the bowl and then a Native American warrior on the handle. Look at this Native American chief riding horseback. If you collect silver souvenir spoons, you should definitely include a Native American spoon in your collection. In this next section, we're going to talk about silver souvenir spoons made by George W. Shiebler & Co. The company was based in Brooklyn, New York from the year 1876 to 1910 and is renowned for their incredible designs and finely detailed craftsmanship. You can definitely observe that on these 4 spoons shown here. They are just absolutely amazing. This next spoon is called the St. John spoon, which was created by the Shiebler Company as a commemorative for the St. John's Cathedral in New York to help them with fundraising. When I bought the spoon for $500 on eBay about 2 years ago, I had never seen the spoon before and wasn't really sure what I was getting. However, to my delight, when I received the spoon, I was completely blown away by the level of artistry and detail work on the spoon. It was a level that I never had known even existed before. As you can guess from my enthusiasm, this is definitely one of my all-time favorite silver souvenir spoons. Themes of the United States of America are also very popular for collecting antique silver souvenir spoons. This spoon has the White House, George Washington, and then the Capitol Rotunda. This patriotic spoon has an Eagle of Freedom as well as the Capitol of the United States. This spoon shows the famous silversmith Paul Revere on his ride to warn the colonists that the British are coming. It also shows the state capital of Boston. Skylines is another awesome category of sterling silver souvenir spoons. This New York spoon shows the Statue of Liberty, Lower Manhattan, and the Brooklyn Bridge, all from 125 years ago. This spoon shows Honolulu, Hawaii's coastline, also from over 100 years ago. This next piece is actually a souvenir fork, which depicts the University of Tampa, located in Florida. Another popular maker of sterling silver souvenir spoons is Tiffany & Co. Look at this beautiful Statue of Liberty spoon. The attention to detail is incredible. Here's another gorgeous spoon by Tiffany of the Brooklyn Bridge in New York. This last spoon we're showing by Tiffany commemorates the founding of America by Christopher Columbus in the year 1492. By the way, if you're going to collect Tiffany sterling silver souvenir spoons, be prepared to pay about double what you would normally pay for a comparable piece. Any sterling silver souvenir spoon with enameling is going to be highly sought after by collectors, especially the ones that have the enameling in the bowl where it looks like it's almost like a miniature painting. Condition is definitely an issue on these enameled spoons. If there's any cracks or chips or loss to the enamel, they are definitely going to be worth a little bit less money. Just take a look at this beautiful matched pair of enameled sterling silver souvenir spoons made by the Mechanics Sterling Company of Attleboro, Massachusetts, which was a division of Watson. These are the creme de la creme of enameling work. You just can't find quality much better than this. And if I recall correctly, I paid about $300 to $500 a piece on these two. This next souvenir spoon is made by Gorham, and it depicts the Washington Square Arch in New York. This beautiful marble arch was built to commemorate the centennial of George Washington's 1789 inauguration as the President of the United States. These two spoons show some beautiful oranges that are enameled in the bowls of these spoons, and they are just absolutely incredible. The amount of work that it must have taken to paint these is just astounding. This next category of cities and states is basically the bread and butter of the entire silver souvenir spoons industry. I would say at least 85% of all silver souvenir spoons ever sold were of either states or cities or a combination of both. And that's because when tourists traveled, they would typically go to states and cities, and they would want a keepsake of their travel, and they would find these gift shops there that would sell them these beautiful spoons. A lot of these spoons are pretty simple with just an engraving in the bowl of the city name or the state, but there are some really exceptional ones, and here we're going to show you a few examples. This spoon from Texas shows the Lone Star, Longhorn, and then an incredibly detailed depiction of the Alamo located in San Antonio, Texas. Look at the details on this. It is magnificent. This San Francisco spoon is also really nice with a grizzly bear, mining apparatus, and take a look at this scene of the Golden Gate before the Golden Gate Bridge was built. The architectural details on this St. Augustine fruit spoon are absolutely amazing. National parks is also another fun category for collecting sterling silver souvenir spoons. This Yellowstone National Park spoon has an absolutely gorgeous depiction of the Roosevelt Arch at the northern entrance of the park. This waterfall spoon has dramatic waves crashing into its bowl. It's absolutely fabulous. This Arizona Grand Canyon National Park spoon has a beautiful depiction of the famous Bright Angel Trail, which is definitely the best trail in the park. Here we have a totem pole leading into the Mount Rainier National Park located in Washington State. Here's another Yellowstone spoon that has a bear, elk, and a scene of Eagle Nest Rock. These next two spoons represent the category of fraternal organizations. The spoon on the right was created for the Shriners. The spoon on the left was made for the Order of the Eastern Star. This Shriners and Freemason spoon is loaded with symbology. It has its ancient double eagle, the square and compass, and then in the bowl it has an incredible depiction of the Shriners logo, which is just really intricately made. This Order of the Eastern Star spoon is also beautifully made. In the bowl, it shows the Eastern Star Masonic home located in Boone, Iowa. Military is also an important category of collecting silver souvenir spoons. It not only appeals to antique silver collectors, but also to people that collect militaria. These type spoons usually include historical representations of military leaders and figures, as well as insignias and sometimes of naval vessels. Most of these spoons are richly detailed, and many have full figurals as well as being decorated both on the front and on the back. Their values range between $100 to $400 a piece, depending on if they have enameling. Take a look at this beautiful American flag, completely enameled in the bowl. It's stunning. Take a look at this spoon with Teddy Roosevelt back in his Rough Rider days. Look at the front and back, just really nice details here. This Army and Navy spoon is one of my favorite military spoons. It has an incredible battleship embossed in the bowl, and then the rest of the spoon has some really cool details as well as enameling work at the top. This piece shows Admiral Dewey, who was famous for his Spanish-American War victories. It also depicts the SS Olympia, which was in operation in Alaska during the Klondike Gold Rush. The Gorham Silver Manufacturing Company was founded by Jabez Gorham in the year 1831. Later on, his son John Gorham took over, and he was responsible for industrializing the entire operation, which made it more affordable for mass production for the common man to be able to purchase sterling silver. Gorham was the first to mass produce and became a behemoth in the industry. They outproduced every other silver manufacturer combined. They were also prolific in the antique silver souvenir spoons industry, literally producing thousands of different designs. Some of these spoons were really exceptional, like this one we're taking a look at now with the knight's head and the shield with a griffin on it. It is just gorgeous. Here's another awesome piece made by Gorham for the Daniel Lowe and Company of Salem, Massachusetts. These witches' spoons were a bestseller, and in today's market, they are still very highly sought after and are worth between $250 to $500 a piece. This cactus spoon by Gorham is also highly collectible and is worth about $200 to $300. Here we have a Capricorn spoon from the Gorham Zodiac series. They had 12 different spoons that represented all of the different signs of the zodiac. This next pattern is called Nuremberg, made by Gorham in the year 1880. Silver souvenir spoons reached the peak of their popularity in the 1890s and the early 1900s. This set made in 1880 is not technically part of the silver souvenir spoons family. However, it is what we consider to be a precursor to what led up to the production of making souvenir spoons in the first place. These whimsical and full-figural spoons depict an old world village including townspeople, nobles, barmaids, clergy, and other characters. Souvenir spoons made later on are quite imitative of this set that preceded them. The practice of creating silver souvenir spoons for tourists to purchase while they are on their travels to commemorate cities and landmarks that they visited actually started in Europe in around the 1850s. American manufacturers and silversmiths basically copycatted the trend, and it wasn't until the 1890s where it really caught on big in the United States. The European spoons tend to be a lot more ornate and ornamental, with many more piercings and a lot more use of enameling work. Nearly all American spoons are made of sterling silver, which is 92.5% silver and 7.5% copper. However, the European spoons can vary in purity. Some are only 80% silver, some are 83%, some are 84%, and then there are some that are still sterling silver made of 92.5%. I'm only doing the one chapter here on European silver souvenir spoons. However, there are definitely tons and tons of European spoons out there in the world, and perhaps at a future date, I will have to do another video on those. Value-wise, the European spoons tend to be worth about 20 to 50% lower in price than their US counterparts. Although most silver souvenir spoons were created for tourists who wanted souvenirs from their vacations, there were some made for special occasions and the holidays. This cute little spoon made by Gorham was made to commemorate the famous Christmas book, "'Twas the Night Before Christmas." Here we have a classic Santa Claus spoon made by the Mechanics Company of Attleboro, Massachusetts. This spoon, also made by the Mechanics Company, depicts the month of January. There are 12 spoons in the series, each one showing a different month of the year. These could be easily personalized and then given as gifts for birthdays, graduations, or other occasions. The Tiffany mistletoe sterling silver flatware pattern was made in the late 1880s. Although it's not technically part of the silver souvenir spoons family, it was made specifically for the holidays. The pattern was made with just some serving pieces and some accessory pieces and was only meant to be brought out a few times during the Christmas holiday season. As for values, this is one of Tiffany's most expensive patterns, and in today's market, they typically fetch between $150 to $200 per troy ounce. Effectively, these pieces are commemorative souvenirs of Christmas for the very wealthy. The British absolutely loved their kings and queens and other royals. Since the 1860s, English manufacturers have been creating silver souvenir spoons to commemorate jubilees, coronations, and marriages of the royal family. The older spoons from before 1940 are typically made out of sterling silver, which is 92.5% silver and 7.5% copper. The ones made after that are typically just silver plated, which is basically a micro-thin layer of silver over a base metal, and the plating is only about 10 to 30 microns thick. If you're trying to figure out if your English souvenir spoons are silver, just look on the back of the pieces for the English hallmarks. If you see the lion with its paw up, which is referred to as the lion passant, that is the English assay mark for 92.5% silver. So in this example, the first hallmark of a crown represents the city mark, which in this example is the city of Sheffield, England. The second mark of the lion passant stands for sterling silver, which has been the English standard since the 1200s. The third mark of a D is actually the date letter, and this particular one refers to the year 1896. This last hallmark of JR represents the maker's mark, and in this case, it stands for John Round & Son Limited. Here's a beautiful enamel spoon that commemorates the reign of Queen Victoria from the year 1837 to the year 1897. I absolutely love this coronation spoon replica made for King Edward VII in 1902. This large sterling silver pudding spoon that depicts Queen Elizabeth I is ironically not made by an English silver manufacturer. It is actually made by Gorham. They also made a companion spoon to this one that depicts Henry VIII. Unfortunately, silver-plated souvenir spoons are not worth very much money. You can find the majority of these for sale on eBay or at antique shops for between $1 to $2 per piece. There are some categories of silver-plated souvenir spoons that are noteworthy and do have some historical significance, and we are going to go through those categories right now. This first group of silver-plated souvenir spoons was made by the William Rogers Manufacturing Company for the 1939 New York World's Fair. Each spoon is decorated with a different pavilion or building that was featured at the fair. I also would like to point out that in these silver-plated souvenir spoons, the detail work is not quite as good as what you would see on sterling silver spoons. In the sterling versions, there are typically extra steps taken, like using oxidation to blacken out the backgrounds, and also using some hand chasing with some of the higher end pieces. Military souvenir spoons are also available in silver plate. Look at this beautiful Air Force Academy spoon with the enameling work and mixed metal. These two naval silver-plated souvenir spoons show gorgeous depictions of the battleship Maine as well as the battleship Indiana. Enameled silver-plated souvenir spoons from the US, Europe, and around the world is probably the most popular category of all silver-plated spoons. In today's world, if you go on a vacation and visit a gift shop, you will likely not find any modern-made sterling silver souvenir spoons. However, you can still find these silver-plated and enameled souvenir spoons pretty readily at national parks, theme parks, cities, landmarks, and other places. This last category of silver-plated souvenir spoons is my very favorite. This is a 37-piece presidential silver-plated spoon series that started with George Washington and ended with Richard Nixon. As silver plate goes, these are beautifully crafted and very well designed. Each spoon has a bust of the president that it represents, as well as an incredible depiction of the president's accomplishments during his administration. This spoon of JFK is especially poignant with its gold plating and its strong depiction of Kennedy's contributions to the space program. If you are wondering how to tell the difference between a silver-plated and sterling spoon, if it's an American-made spoon, it will always say sterling. If it's a spoon from Europe, it will usually say 800 or 925, otherwise it is likely just silver-plated. The English spoons have to have the lion passant, that's where it has the lion with its paw up, to be sterling. Here's an example of a silver-plated spoon. These marks look pretty fancy, but if they don't say sterling silver, 925, 800, or have the lion passant, then it is likely just going to be silver-plated. Before the age of television, computers, the internet, AI, high-tech trade shows, and theme parks, the countries of the world used to host large fairs and expositions to showcase technology, industry, and cultural advancements. These world fairs were popular from the year 1851 to about 1915. The fairs were held about every 3.5 years, and it was similar in prestige and stature to how a host city would be chosen to put on the Olympics. Souvenir spoons of these fairs and expositions were very popular, and many were created for these. In today's antique silver market, these pieces are amongst the most sought after and highly collectible, and they range between $200 to upwards of $1,000 a piece. The Columbian Exposition of 1893, also known as the Chicago World's Fair, was held in Chicago from May 1st to October 31st in 1893 to celebrate the 400th anniversary of Christopher Columbus's entrance into the New World. The spoons made for this exposition were beautifully crafted and designed. Many have full figuras both front and back. Some of these spoons at the Columbian Exposition were made specifically to showcase different buildings and pavilions at the event. This spoon and the next spoon show illustrations of the Women's Building. Here we have a spoon from the Pan American Exposition held in Buffalo, New York in the year 1901. This gorgeous, content-rich souvenir spoon was from the St. Louis World's Fair held in the year 1904. Well, we promised you at the beginning of the video that we'd be showing you some ultra-rare and holy grail types of spoons. That time has finally come. King Kamehameha united all of Hawaii in the year 1810. These Hawaiian souvenir spoons are exquisitely detailed and richly ornate with beautiful enameling work. The spoons vary in price. I've seen some go as low as $500 on eBay, and others go for $1,500 at major auction houses. The spoons are three-dimensionally decorated, showing a full figural of King Kamehameha on both the front side and also on the back. The craftsmanship on these is really exemplary, and it obviously took many hours of chasing and handwork to bring out these fine details. Here are a few more examples shown in different colors. I think the turquoise one is my favorite. In the year 1885, Tiffany and Company created a spoon series dedicated to Native American tribal dances. Each spoon in the series of 12 would show a different dance. The one we are looking at here is called the bull dance. Notice the bull's horns on the Native American's headdress. This particular spoon was on display at the Columbian Exposition of 1893, and you can tell that by looking at the special mark on there that has a big T for Tiffany inside of a globe. This spoon is called the buffalo dance, which you can probably tell by looking at the mask on the figure. This next one is called the eagle dance. Take note of the eagle feathers that the Native American is holding. These Tiffany Native American spoons are amongst the most sought after by antique silver collectors and Tiffany collectors alike. They rarely come up for sale, and when they do, one piece, depending on its size, can go for between $2,000 to $10,000. This is another one that we would categorize as sterling silver souvenir spoons only for the very, very wealthy. These next silver souvenir spoons are considered by collectors as holy grails for collecting spoons from the Columbian Exposition of 1893. This enameled spoon of Christopher Columbus is just absolutely amazing. This spoon was featured on the cover of a book called World's Fair Spoons, written by Chris A. McLaughlin. The level of artistry in creating this enamel work is just incredible. It is basically a mini masterpiece. The origin of the spoon is unknown, but it is speculated that it is made by the famous silversmith David Anderson of Norway. It has a value of between $1,200 to $2,000. This next spoon, made by George W. Shiebler for the Columbian Exposition, is just absolutely amazing. The detail work is just really, really nice. It features a richly detailed full-figural Native American on the handle of the spoon, and in the bowl of the spoon, you can see the Santa Maria, the flagship of Christopher Columbus. This backside of the piece is also crazy rich in detail, showing one of the main exhibit halls at the Columbian Exposition. It is just incredible. As for a value on this piece, when they come up for sale, they run between $800 to $1,000. There's also a fully enameled version of this spoon, and on the rare occasions when they come up for sale, they go for between $6,000 to $10,000. This last category of very rare and holy grail types of silver souvenir spoons is perhaps the most interesting one that we will be covering. If you look at the bowl of this spoon, it appears to have a gold coin embedded into it. However, it is actually not a real coin, but is in fact an imprint taken from a die used to make an actual coin. In 1852, shortly after the California Gold Rush, the U.S. Mint authorized the assay office out there to create some private California gold coinage. These Baldwin strike coins, created by pioneers of the same name, are now amongst the most valuable coins on the entire planet Earth. These California gold coins are extremely rare and can go for between $500,000 to $1 million at auction. In 1915, the Panama Pacific International Exposition was held in San Francisco, California. Special sterling silver souvenir spoons were created specifically for this World's Fair that included depictions of these older 1850s private California gold coins. What makes these Panama Pacific Exposition souvenir spoons so extraordinary is that they actually used the real dies that made these coins back in the 1850s to also produce these souvenir spoons. Even though these silver souvenir spoons are not actually made with real gold, the coin collectors and numismatists from around the world want these very much. They're not worth the six-figure sums that the original California gold coins go for, but these silver souvenir spoons are still worth between $2,000 to $6,000 per piece. Well, hey, this wraps up the video, and I sure hope you enjoyed watching everything that we presented and that you learned quite a bit about antique sterling silver and silver-plated souvenir spoons. I would also like to remind you that we at the Silver Museum are very, very strong buyers for everything that we showed in the video today. We also buy all antique silver, flatware, hollowware, jewelry, and other items made of silver. So if you have anything that you would like to sell, we would be very happy to make you our fair and competitive offers. Just go ahead and send us photographs and an inventory list of what you have, and then we'll be happy to get back to you within usually 24 to 48 hours with our offer. Just go ahead and email all of that to Greg, that's Greg, at silvermuseum.org, or you can also call or text us at 813-789-4734. Well, thanks again for watching the video, and I hope you have a great day. Bye-bye.